Deep in the forest, under the roots of a giant oak, lived a little mouse named Squeaky. Squeaky was a curious and adventurous mouse, always eager to explore the world around him. His home was a cozy burrow lined with soft leaves and moss, making it the perfect place to retreat after a day of adventures. The forest was his playground, filled with towering trees, rustling leaves, and the gentle hum of nature. Squeaky loved the forest, but he also knew it could be a place of mystery and danger. One night, as the moon cast a silvery glow over the forest, Squeaky heard tiny whispers. At first he thought it was just the wind playing tricks on his ears, but the whispers grew louder and more urgent. Squeaky's big ears twitched as he tried to make out the words. He had never heard anything like it before. The whispers seemed to be calling out to him, pleading for help. Squeaky's heart raced as he realized that someone or something was in trouble.
"We need your help!" The voices were faint but filled with desperation. Squeaky's eyes widened as he looked around, trying to find the source of the cries. He had always been a helpful mouse, and he couldn't ignore a plea for help, no matter how small the voices were.
The voices were small and scared. They came from the fireflies trapped inside a jar. Squeaky had seen fireflies many times before, their gentle glow lighting up the forest at night. But he had never seen them like this, trapped and frightened. The fireflies' light was dim and their tiny bodies trembled with fear. Squeaky knew he had to act fast if he was going to save them. They came from the fireflies trapped inside a jar. Squeaky's heart ached for the little creatures. He knew that without their light, the forest would be a much darker and scarier place. The fireflies were an essential part of the forest's magic, and Squeaky couldn't bear the thought of them being trapped and unable to shine.
"Oh no, the fireflies! They light up the forest every night. They're in trouble." Squeaky felt a surge of determination. He couldn't let the fireflies stay trapped. They needed to be free to light up the forest and bring joy to all the creatures that lived there. Squeaky knew that he had to find a way to rescue them, no matter what it took.
Squeaky, though small and a little afraid, knew he had to help. He took a deep breath and gathered his courage. The forest was a big place for a little mouse, but Squeaky had a big heart and a brave spirit. He knew that he couldn't let fear stop him from doing what was right. The fireflies were counting on him, and he couldn't let them down. He had to be brave, he had to be quick. Squeaky darted through the forest, his tiny paws moving swiftly over the ground. He knew that time was of the essence, and he couldn't afford to waste a single moment. The forest was filled with obstacles, but Squeaky was determined to overcome them all. He leapt over fallen branches, squeezed through narrow gaps, and navigated through the underbrush with ease. This was a big mission for a little mouse, but Squeaky was ready for the challenge. He had always dreamed of being a hero, and now was his chance to make a difference. With each step, Squeaky grew more confident. He knew that he had the strength and determination to save the fireflies and bring light back to the forest. This was his moment, and he was ready to shine. Squeaky wasn't like other mice. He was tiny, even for a mouse, but Squeaky was also very clever and brave. He wasn't afraid to help others. He knew he had to use his small size to his advantage. He could squeeze into tiny spaces where others couldn't.
"Don't worry, I will save you."
He thought hard. How could he free them? This jar was too big to move. He needed a plan, and he needed it fast. Squeaky's journey was long and dangerous. The little mouse had never ventured so far from his cozy burrow before. Each step he took was filled with uncertainty and a bit of fear. But Squeaky knew he had to be brave. The forest was vast, and he had a mission to complete. He had heard stories from the elder mice about the dangers that lurked in the shadows, but he also heard about the wonders that awaited those who dared to explore. He had to cross the entire forest to reach the whispering waterfall. The path was not easy. There were thorny bushes that scratched his tiny paws and fallen leaves that made the ground slippery. The forest was alive with sounds, the rustling of leaves, the chirping of birds, and the distant howls of unknown creatures. Every noise made Squeaky's heart race, but he pressed on, determined to reach his destination. Legend said the waterfall held a magical secret, a secret that could help him. The elder mice spoke of a hidden power that could only be unlocked by those pure of heart. Squeaky hoped that he would be worthy. As he imagined the cascading waters and the shimmering mist, he felt a surge of hope. This hope gave him the strength to keep moving forward despite the challenges. He scurried through tall blades of grass, feeling like he was in a jungle. The grass was so tall that it towered over him, making him feel even smaller. But Squeaky was agile and quick. He darted through the green maze, his whiskers twitching with excitement and a bit of nervousness. Every now and then he would pause to catch his breath and listen for any signs of danger. A hungry owl hooted above. Its sharp eyes scanned the ground, searching for a meal. Squeaky knew he had to be extra cautious. The owl was a formidable predator, and one wrong move could spell disaster. He remembered the tales of mice who had fallen prey to the owl's sharp talons and shivered at the thought. Squeaky quickly hid under a mushroom, his heart pounding. The mushroom provided a temporary shelter, shielding him from the owl's view. He could hear the owl's wings flapping above, creating a gust of wind that rustled the leaves. Squeaky held his breath, hoping the owl would move on. After what felt like an eternity, the owl finally flew away, and Squeaky let out a sigh of relief. He had to be careful. Every step had to be calculated, every movement deliberate. The forest was full of hidden dangers, from predators to traps. Squeaky's senses were on high alert. He sniffed the air, listened intently, and watched for any signs of movement. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. The forest was full of dangers, but he was determined to save his friends. He wouldn't give up. Squeaky's friends were counting on him, and he couldn't let them down. With renewed determination, he pushed forward, navigating the treacherous terrain. The journey was tough, but Squeaky's spirit was unbreakable. He knew that with courage and perseverance he could overcome any obstacle. The whispering waterfall was waiting, and so was the secret that could change everything. Squeaky reached a rushing river. It was too wide to swim across. How would he get to the other side? He sat on the bank, feeling defeated. Suddenly he saw a ladybird struggling against the current.
I have to help her!
Without hesitation, Squeaky jumped onto a leaf and used it like a boat. He paddled with all his might, pushing the leaf towards the struggling ladybird. He had to reach her quickly.
Squeaky reached the ladybird just in time. He helped her onto the leaf boat.
Thank you, she chirped, drying her wings. I'm Lila. How can I repay you?
Squeaky told her about the fireflies and the whispering waterfall.
I can take you there, Lila offered.
Lila gently flew Squeaky across the river, the setting sun painting the sky in beautiful colors. Squeaky was grateful for Lila's help. He was one step closer to saving his friends. As they got closer to the whispering waterfall, they encountered Finley the fox. Finley was known for his tricks.
Well, what do we have here? A tiny mouse and a little ladybug out for an adventure?
Squeaky knew Finley couldn't be trusted. Thinking quickly, Squeaky whispered a plan to Lila.
Oh no, I think I have ladybug flu.
She cried dramatically. Finley, afraid of catching the flu, quickly jumped back, letting them pass. Finally, they reached the whispering waterfall. The water cascaded down with a roar. Squeaky looked around for the secret. Where was it?
That must be it.
She chirped, pointing her tiny antenna at a small hole behind the waterfall. The hole was too small for Lila, but perfect for Squeaky. He took a deep breath and squeezed through the opening. He was in. Inside, the cave shimmered with a magical light. A tiny sparkling pebble lay on a rock. This had to be it. Squeaky carefully pushed the pebble. The cave rumbled and a magical dewdrop formed on the pebble. One touch of this dewdrop and the fireflies would be free. Squeaky, holding the magical dewdrop carefully, hurried back to his friends, Lila guiding the way. He couldn't wait to set the fireflies free. Back at the oak tree, Squeaky touched the dewdrop to the jar. The forest seemed to hold its breath as the tiny mouse, with a heart full of hope, gently pressed the dewdrop against the glass. The dewdrop shimmered, reflecting the sunlight in 1,000 tiny rainbows. Squeaky's whiskers twitched with anticipation. With a pop and a sizzle, the jar disappeared. The fireflies were free. The air was filled with a magical glow, and the forest seemed to come alive with the joyous energy of the liberated fireflies. They danced and twirled in the air, their tiny bodies glowing like stars in the night sky. The forest creatures watched in awe, their eyes wide with wonder. They buzzed around Squeaky, their lights twinkling in gratitude. Squeaky was a hero. The fireflies' soft hums filled the air, creating a symphony of light and sound. Squeaky's heart swelled with pride and joy as he realized the magnitude of his actions. He had saved the fireflies, and in doing so, had brought a new sense of harmony to the forest. From that day on, Squeaky the mouse became a legend in the forest. His bravery and kindness were spoken of in hushed tones by the forest creatures. They would gather around the old oak tree, sharing the tale of the tiny mouse who had the courage to make a difference. Squeaky's name became synonymous with heroism and selflessness. He was a reminder that even the smallest of creatures can be the biggest heroes. Squeaky's story inspired many, teaching them that size does not determine one's ability to make a significant impact. The forest thrived under this newfound sense of unity and purpose, with each creature playing their part in maintaining the delicate balance of their home. And every night, as the fireflies lit up the forest, they twinkled a special thank you to their tiny hero, Squeaky. The night sky would be filled with their gentle glow, a constant reminder of the power of kindness and bravery. Squeaky would watch them from his cozy nest, his heart filled with contentment, knowing that he had made a lasting difference in the world.